Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Darren Gidman from GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson. Today I'm going to dissect some basic bar chord shapes so you can see the actual intervals that make up the chords, because this makes it a lot easier to play chords that you don't already know how to play. For instance, if you know how to play the basic like major chord, and then you get a song that says, you're going to play a seventh chord. Well, rather than having to go through and memorize all these different shapes, if you just understand what the intervals are in the chord themselves, then you can easily switch it to wherever you want. So to begin with, you're going to want to know the major scale shape. And it's simply just, in this case, I'm just going to do G major. So we're starting on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. We've got 3, 5, 7. 5th string, 3, 5, 7. 4th string, 4, and then back to 5. So that gives you your root note, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th, and then back to your octave. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at this. All right, so when you make a major chord, you simply are playing the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the major scale as they land naturally. So in the case of G, those notes would be G, B, and D. It's 1, 3, 5, and that makes up a major scale. So the bar chord shape that I'm going to show you, that maybe you already know, is just this. So I'm simply barring all the way across the 3rd fret with my 1st finger across all 6 strings. I'm playing the 4th fret of the 3rd string with my 2nd finger, and I'm playing the 5th fret of the 5th string with my 3rd finger, and the 5th fret of the 4th string with my 4th finger. So that's a major chord. Now, if we kind of dissect this and look at it, when you're playing these notes, the first note is 1, or your root note. The next note is your 5th. Next note is 8, so it's your octave. It's the same as your root. Then the next note is the 3rd. The next note is the 5th. And the next note is 1 again. So if you memorize that you're playing 1, 5, 8, 3, 5, 1, then you can simply modify this to be whatever other chord it is that you want it to be. So for example, if we are going to make a minor chord is root, flat 3rd, and 5th. So we already went through and decided that we're 1, 5, 8, 3, 5, 1. So the 3rd is this note we're playing with our 2nd finger on the 3rd string on the 4th fret. So by removing that finger, now we've flattened that note a half step. So it's at the 3rd fret, which now makes a minor chord. If we wanted to make a major 7th chord, that's a major chord, but it also has a major 7, or a natural 7. So when we played the scale, we seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 8. So there's only a half step between 7 and 8. So if we take that major chord shape, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing 1, 3, 5, and 7. So 1, 5, 8, 3, 5, 1. So if we take the 8 and we flatten it a half step, that'll give us our 7. So we have to switch around which fingers I'm using, but so now I'm going to be still barring all the way across on the 3rd fret, and I'm going to be playing the 4th fret of the 4th string with my 2nd finger. That is my major 7. And then I'm going to be playing the 4th fret of the 3rd string with my 3rd finger. That's my 3rd. And I'm going to be playing the 5th fret of the 5th string with my 4th finger, which will give me the 5th. So now we have 1, 5, major 7, major 3rd, 5th, and 1 again. Now if we wanted to make a dominant 7th chord, which is a 1, 3, 5, and a flat 7. So we go back again, we've got our major chord, and we know that it's 1, 5, 8, 3, 5, 1. So what we're going to need to do now is do the same thing we did before, where we flattened this 8. We flattened it a half step to make it a major 7. We're going to flatten it once more to make it a minor 7. So what we're going to do is simply take our 4th finger off, so that note is flattened a whole step, and that will give us our dominant 7th. Now we can also have what is called a minor major 7th chord, which has a it has the major 7, but it has a flat 3 in it. So in that case, we're going to have our 1, 5, and then I'm going to pick up the major 7 on the 4th fret of the 4th string with my 3rd finger, and that gives us our minor major 7. And then we have a just simply our minor 7. So that's a minor chord that also has a flat 7. So if we go back to our original minor shape, and we need to add in that flat 7. So we will look at the intervals of the chord. 1, 5, 8. We're going to take that 8 and we're going to flatten it a whole step. So we remove it, so that way it's flattened from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret where we're barring. And I also remove my 2nd finger to flatten the 3rd. And we get a minor 7. So these are the chords with the root note being on the 6th string. Or wait a minute, one more. We got also going to look at the diminished chord. Okay, so the diminished chord has a flat 5 and a flat 3. So it's a minor chord, but it's got a flat 5th as well. Our diminished chord will be root, flat 5th, and then our 8 and our flat 3, and we'll play strings 6, 5, 4, 3, and that is your diminished. Now if we take a diminished chord and we also put in a flat 7, that gives us a minor 7 flat 5, which is basically a diminished chord that also has a flat 7 in it. So again, there's our 1, there's our flat 5, there's our flat 7, and our flat 3. And again, we're only going to play the first, strings 6, 5, and 6, 5, 4, and 3. So that is our minor 7 flat 5. All right, so also what we want to do is we want to look at the same shapes, but where the root note is on the 5th string, and it works out to be the same idea as far as the intervals. So starting off here, I'm playing my root note, or 1, is on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and these are based around C now instead of G. So that's our root. So 1, 5. We're going to take our 3rd finger and we're going to bar it across the 5th fret on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. So 1, 5, 8, 3. That is our major chord. Now if we make that a minor chord, we have to flatten the 3rd. So 1, 5, 8, 3. So we flatten the 2nd string from the 5th fret to the 4th fret with our 2nd finger, and then we have to pick up those 2 other notes on the 4th and the 3rd string with our third and fourth finger. So that is minor. If we wanted to make this a minor seventh, then we've got 1, 5, 8. So that means that the third string that we're playing with our fourth finger is 8. Now, to make this a minor 7, we flatten that a whole step. So we're simply just going to take that fourth finger and remove it. So instead of being the 5th fret, it goes down to the 3rd fret where I'm barring. And that is a minor 7. Now, if we wanted to make a major 7 is a major chord, and it has a natural 7 in it. So the intervals 1, 5, 8, and now we're going to, since it's major, we're only going to flatten the 8 a half step to make it the 7. So we go from it being on the 5th fret of the 3rd string to the 4th fret. So I'm barring. I'm using my 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. I'm using my 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and my 4th finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So I've got 1, 5, 7. That's a major 7. And our major 3rd. And then the 1st string, our 5th. Now, if we wanted to do a dominant 7, the dominant 7 has the 7th is flat. So going from this shape, if we take our 2nd finger and we just lift it up, so that way that we went from 8 to major 7, flatten it again, minor 7. And that gives us our dominant 7th chord. Now, if we want to do the diminished, so again we got the same thing. The diminished chord has a flat 5 and a flat 3. So if we take our minor shape, and we're going to have to flatten the 5. So again, we're going to have to switch which fingers we're using. So I'm going to play the flat 5 on the 4th string, 4th fret, with my 2nd finger, and then that minor 3rd on the 4th fret of the 2nd string with my 4th finger, and then the 5th fret of the 3rd string with my 4th finger. So that gives us 1 flat 8, or excuse me, 1 flat 5, 8, flat 3. Now, if we want to do the minor 7 flat 5, which is the diminished chord that has a flat 7, we're just going to take our 4th finger and remove it, because that will give us a flat 7, because we're going from the 5th fret down to the 3rd fret where we're barring. And that gives us our minor 7 flat 5. All right, so I hope you found this useful. To me, this was, figuring this out and learning this, memorizing that, that the intervals go from lowest to highest. 1, 5, 8, 3, 5, 1. It just made it much, much easier to be able to build different chords rather than doing it, just like going through and memorizing all these shapes. And just from playing, and practicing and stuff, a lot of these shapes you're going to memorize. I mean, it's not a waste of time to memorize these necessarily, but this just can be a way for you to build a chord quickly. So if you get another chord and it says that it wants to have, you know how to play, maybe you don't know how to play a major 7th chord. So this is just a way that you can build it on your own. So if you liked this lesson, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and until next time.